Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today on our live stream. So this afternoon, we will be talking all things St Hilda's. So if you have any questions for our students, please let us know in the Slido chat, or you can let us know on YouTube, whatever's easiest for you. But we're here to talk all about St Hilda's, so please do pop in your questions. So with us today, we have four different people. So firstly, my name is Emma and I'm the Undergraduate Admissions and Outreach Officer here at St Hilda's. And we also have joining us Dr. Sarah Norman, who is our tutor for admissions. And then we also have three of our students who are three of our current students. So I'm going to pass over to them for them to introduce themselves to you. So if we begin with Rachel, would you mind introducing yourself, telling us who you are and what year you're in and what you currently study?
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a first year lawyer at Hildes.
Great. And Sophie?
I'm Sophie and I'm a first year historian at Hildes.
Great. And last but not least, Ethan.
Hi, I'm Ethan. I'm second year studying economics and management. I'm from Leeds. Yeah, looking forward to the Q&A.
Fantastic, great. So if you have any questions at all, do just pop them in the chat or on YouTube, whatever's easiest. But I do have some pre-planned questions that were sent in a bit earlier. If anyone would like to jump in, please do. But how would you describe St Hilda's?
I can jump in. St Hilda's was an all-female college until 2008, so kind of got like a strong feminist history. We're also like well known for being the college by the river. We have easy access to the river. It's literally goes like right next to our college site, which is lovely. Some like the scenes around St Hilda's are beautiful. We're slightly further away from the city centre. It's about a 5-minute walk, I would say. But everyone at Hilda's is known for being very friendly. We're a very sociable college. We have a lot going on, a lot of sport, a lot of music. And we're also just known for everyone like being happy to be there. A lot of colleges you hear them complaining, but that's not us.
That's good. Sophie, how would you describe St Hilda's? How have you found it?
Ever since I got here in October, it's been such a community feel. Everyone I've met so far has been so friendly, including students, staff and tutors. I just love being here so much. The views are great, the buildings are great. The social side is really vibrant and there's so much to do. And I'm just really glad that I'm at St Hilda's.
And Rachel, how would you describe it?
Pretty much building on what the other two have said, it's just really friendly and really sociable. And what I quite like as well is not only from like the look of the college, but also the people. It can seem a lot less intimidating than some of the big scary colleges in town. So I really like that about it. It's got a really friendly vibe.
Great. And Sarah, from your point of view as a tutor for admissions, how would you describe St Hilda's and how would you maybe describe some of your colleagues?
I really like being at St Hilda's. I've worked at a number of other colleges and I've always found this one to be the most open. And although it's a cliche, it is terribly friendly. I adore my colleagues. It's really nice working at a college that's got this feminist history. And because we have an attitude of equality, so it's embedded in everything we've ever done. And we've just now made it open, or have done for the last however many years now, to men and to people from all backgrounds. So we're really just looking for the best people, the most able students from any background. It's just a really supportive and enabling college.
And what's your favourite thing about St Hilda's, Sophie? What would you say is your favourite thing?
It's cliche, but I have to go with Teabag the cat. Having had a cat at home, I knew I was going to miss my cat a lot when I came to uni. But seeing Teabag's slightly friendly face around college and in the lodge has been lovely. So she's very much a bastion of Hilda's, I feel. Really encapsulates the friendly, nurturing, warm atmosphere that we have.
Mm-hmm. Good. And Rachel, how about you?
I definitely think it's like the location by the river, as you're showing with your background there. It's really nice because in the summer we sit out on the lawn and we get the sunsets on that side, so it's really pretty and it's really nice.
How about you, Ethan? What's your favourite thing?
I'm going to have to completely disagree with Sophie. So Teabag the cat and me have never clicked. We've never got on, to the extent that other people do. like as much as Teabag is a bastion of St Hilda's, I've just never formed that connection. For me, I'd say the culture, and that feeds into everything. So, culture-wise, Hildes is very friendly, very open, and you find that people get on really well. So I think like this culture of kind of openness and friendliness has allowed me to have a great time here in terms of like social stuff, making friends, and also just getting involved in activities because we are so friendly. Like you can try anything. So I'd never played rugby before university, and then I mentioned that I might want to try it, and they brought me in, they taught me everything, and now I'm like the social secretary for Hildes Rugby. It just like goes to show that at this college that you can thrive. That's the thing. Like everyone's friendly, everyone's sociable, and you know I've just had a great time here, and I'm 2 years in.
Brilliant. How about you, Sarah? What's your favourite thing about St Hilda's?
Oh, I absolutely adore the location. It's so wonderful. It's such a beautiful open site, and I mean, you can see my office in your background. I overlook the river. I overlook the sports fields opposite. We can see all the spires of Oxford, and we're just the other side of a bridge. And that other side of the bridge keeps all the tourists away. So we don't have a site smothered by tourists all the year. So we actually have a relatively quiet site. You walk across the bridge into St Hilda's, and it's so your heart rate goes down. It's a very relaxing place. It feels like home.
So, students, let's talk a bit more about the nitty-gritty of coming to St Hilda's. So, what's the accommodation like? How have you found it? We'll start with Rachel. Rachel, how have you found the accommodation at St Hilda's? Have you liked it?
I really liked it. So I'm in a garden building, which is the 1970s building, which is very cool. And I quite like it because we've got the 3 separate sections. So I overlook Wolfson, which is the building that Sophie was in. And it's really nice because you've got your friends, you know, in that building, and then you can always go over and see a whole new group of people in the other building, which is quite nice. But I really liked it. I really liked my room in garden building. We have these really lovely, huge windows. So one of my walls is just completely window, which is really nice. Get a lot of light in, so it's really pretty.
Nice. And Sophie, how was living in Wolfson building? How was that?
I love Wolfson building. So the outside is really beautiful. It's got a lot of foliage on it, and in summer we have lots of wisteria growing on the windows. The inside is really nice as well. I had a really big room this year, which I'm really grateful for. And yeah, it was just a really good space to live and work in.
Now, Ethan, you're living out of college, aren't you, for the last year? How did you find that whole process, living in a different, still coming to college, but living outside of college and finding a place to live? How did you find all that?
Yeah, to be completely honest, it can be quite stressful. It's quite a big thing. This is probably the first time in your life that you're living in accommodation that you are solely responsible for. But I think the positives completely outweigh the negatives. Essentially, I'm living in my own space with my friends. The main kind of student area in Oxford where students rent houses is about 5 minutes from St Hilda's, which means I'm really close to college. I can be in college for me, I can be in college in about 2 minutes, which is great because, if you need to pop in for a meal, it's easy if you're in the library. But in general, don't fear living out. Living out's incredible. It can be quite expensive in Oxford, but also there are some cheaper options. And it's almost like you get that student experience while still being at Oxford, where other colleges you might live in for 3 years. At St Hilda's, we get the chance to live out. You're with your friends. I don't know, it's a freedom that's quite liberating, and I think it's quite important for people to do it at some point. So it's nice that we get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, what's your opinion on living out for students? Do you think, what's your opinion on it?
As we discussed this morning on our other live stream, it must be daunting because you're picking colleges at the age of 17 or something, and the idea of it's probably quite daunting, and the practicality is not so difficult. I mean, it's something that otherwise you wouldn't have to do, but the beauty is you don't have to move your stuff in and out of your room. And, your parents don't have to drive to Oxford after 9 weeks, pick you back up, and you have to strip your room again. So you have the freedom of living in Oxford all year. And yes, of course, that comes in as an additional cost, because instead of 27 weeks in Oxford, you're here for the whole year. And that gives you opportunities. You can do research placements in the summer. You can do things in the holidays, which you otherwise wouldn't have access to. So I think it's also, I mean, that's kind of what it gives. But of course, from the student's perspective, you're also not living in college where all the staff are. So you're living independently and you can kind of do what you want. And although, you know, big parties have not been encouraged in the last year, you can have your own space, your own parties. You do what you like. No one's watching you. It's proper grown up as opposed to sort of living in halls of residence, which is still quite controlled.
So it sounds like it's quite a nice stepping stone. So living in college for a little bit and
It's
then
more
going
normal,
out.
I think. It's more similar to other universities.
Ethan, would you like to, go ahead?
Yeah, that something Sarah just touched on is something that I thought about quite a lot actually. Normally at Oxford College, you're there for a week before term and then the 8 weeks of term. So whilst you're in Oxford, everything you do is like centered around your academics. You have time for fun alongside. But what I've loved about second year is having time in Oxford with next to no responsibilities and nothing to do. Because first of all, like it takes some like burden off your friendships in a weird way, but also you get to enjoy the city without in the back of your mind thinking, I have to go home and write an essay, or I need to be up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. You get to properly live in the city, and that's a really valuable opportunity.
And you said you lived quite close to Cowley Road, and the college itself, it's not far from quite a lot of the student accommodation where they live out and all that sort of stuff. So how have you found sort of, I guess it's East Oxford, that sort of area? How have you found it? Is it a nice place to sort of be about? Sophie, how have you found it?
Yeah.
My house next year is on Morrill Avenue, which is up St Clement's. And we're right next to South Park, which is a really lovely green area. But in terms of like the rest of Cowley Road, it's filled with like a lot of independent shops, restaurants. There's quite a big music scene there. So I'm really excited to explore that more next year.
Great, cool. So let's talk a little bit about your work and your studies and all those sorts of things. Rachel, how have you found studying law at St Hilda's, and how have you found it studying at Oxford? Has it been as... I think some people are very nervous about coming to Oxford and very worried about it, and I was just wondering what your experience was.
I think that's completely understandable because, I mean, it's a massive jump from, doing your A-levels and coming from a small little college to a university where there's loads of people. But I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the subject. I've really enjoyed the group I'm with as well. So there's 8 of us who study law this year. And they're all so lovely, and we all really get on and we really help each other as well. If we're not too sure about something, we'll go and we'll text each other, or we'll go and sit in each other's rooms and be like, what did you think about this question? But also what I've really liked is the flexibility with law. So unlike some of the STEM subjects where there's a lot more scheduled lectures and classes, law's quite flexible in that you organise your time around your reading list. So I can choose when I want to get my reading done, how much of it I want to do, which means, if I'm busy in the day, I can say, okay, I'll do my work in the evening, or vice versa. Or, I can get it done earlier on in the week so that I can free up the weekend if I want to, go home or visit a friend. So that's been really nice.
Oh, nice. And Ethan, how have you found it now that you're sort of going into your third year? So how have you found the St Hilda's learning experience and the tutorials?
Great. My teaching at St Hilda's has been top class. I think it is daunting when you come into Oxford, but it's not something that should hold you back. You get into it so quickly, and one of the most valuable things is that in a college system, you get to know people in the years above, and they give you tips, they give you tricks on how you get through the academic work. My workload's actually been quite consistent from first year to second year. I found I've had a similar amount of work. Just in second year, it's been slightly more specialist. And also everything I study in second year and third year is completely my choice. There's nothing that I have to study, which is something I really value. Because I dropped all the things that I found too hard or too uninteresting, which is maybe not the best thing, but that's what I did. But yeah, teaching at St Hilda's is great. Tutorial system is everything everyone tells you it is. It's challenging, it's beneficial, you learn more than you probably ever learned before. And the other thing is, again, students at St Hilda's are quite collaborative, as Rachel mentioned. We work together a lot. Library sessions, kind of talking through essays, that kind of thing.
Great. And Sophie, how have you found, as a new historian, how have you found studying here?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the academic life of Hildes so far. The tutors I found have been really supportive and friendly, And because of the tutorial system, it's really personalised and on an individualised basis. So a lot of my tutes this year have been one-on-one or two-on-one sessions, which I feel like allows you to really delve deep, and you're talking to like world-class professionals, and that's such a rewarding experience. And as the others said, there's a lot of contact between the years. So I formed like quite close relationships with the second and third years. We have History Society at Hildes. So we do social events as well as kind of weekly lectures from like world-renowned speakers. We even did history drinks on the new roof of Hilda's new building, which is really exciting. So yeah, it's been really good so far.
Oh, amazing! That sounds great. So if you've talked a bit there, touched very briefly about societies and clubs. So, are you guys part of many clubs and societies at St Hilda's? I know it might have been a bit trickier this year with the pandemic and everything that's been going on. But are there any clubs, societies that you guys are involved in? Rachel, how about if I go to you? What about you?
So in terms of in college, I've been like involved with the choir, but also, you know, there's a lot of the overall uni societies as well. I know in college there's the Hildes Law Society, which we've been involved with, and I think we're more involved with that in second year. But also across the uni, I'm involved in the Women in Law Society, which is really nice. And it's been really nice to be involved actually on the committee as a first year. And it's been really nice to get involved with that and help organise things. And that's been really fun. But also there's been a lot of trying out new sports. People went to the rowing sessions in first term, you know, just to give it a try. Even if they didn't think they'd like it, it's been good to just go and try that out, and things like badminton and netball and those. So that's been really good.
Oh, cool. How about you, Ethan? Are you part of any clubs or societies?
Yeah, I do. I play rugby for St Hilda's. As I said, it's super open. Kind of a bit of a joke, as in we're not very good. But everyone turns up, puts in a lot of effort, no matter what level of ability you have. Like me, if you're a bit rubbish at rugby, you still turn up and try. And it's all about the socials. Like you're meeting people from your college, you're getting stuck in together. It's just a great atmosphere. There's other stuff. I've been involved in like the JCR committee, which I guess isn't really the same as kind of clubs and societies, but it gives you the opportunity to take on a bit of responsibility. You put on events for students, you run certain aspects of college life, which is really important. So I've been kind of working on the bar this year. And I guess another thing to mention is every year we have a feminist festival for St Hilda's, which is organised by our women's officer, who's normally a second year student. And in terms of like extracurricular stuff at St Hilda's, that's probably the highlight of the year. It's a week full of events, amazing speakers, panels, kind of craft stuff as well. There's loads going on, but that's something that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, cool. So for you, are you involved in any more clubs and societies apart from the History Society?
So I'm involved in the LGBT group, which is a really active and welcoming community at Hilda's. We do lots of events and drinks every Tuesday. Next year, because of hopefully restrictions easing, I'm hoping to join some drama groups, which I know are really popular at Hilda's as well.
Fantastic, great. Sarah, have you got anything that you'd like to add about clubs and societies, or anything at all?
I guess what I would want to say is, if we don't provide it, then students are welcome to start it. And so essentially, Oxford is what you make it. And what we've noticed this last year, given the restrictions we've had and how awkward it's been meeting up indoors, actually everyone's put in a huge amount of effort to kind of do things outside or come up with other ideas. And one of the things that I've noticed, because I overlook the river, is that we've got a kayak club. So I think we're the only college with a kayak club. And this was presumably a student that wanted the opportunity to set one up, probably asked the JCR, Ethan will be able to tell me, for cash to start the club. And it just started, and it's brilliant that if you know, it's wonderful that we've got this resource right outside our doorstep. But if people want to do things, they just have to ask. Ethan.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It was actually at the start of this academic year, I think. One of the guys in third year is really into kayaking, and he had a kayak, and then thought, a lot of people ask me to borrow this, let's set up a club.
Ah.
So he motioned the JCR, which is where you kind of request money from our student body to buy some more kayaking equipment. And then he went to the university and spoke to them and organised some. There's a certain like safety drill you have to do to be allowed out onto the water by yourself. So he organised sessions for that. Lots of people went in pairs. You do that, and then you're ticked off, which means you're certified to go out. And he set up a booking system, spreadsheets and stuff, so that you can book out your kayaks, and it tells you what the weather's going to be like and the kind of precautions you need to take. And he just followed it from start to finish, and now it's completely established. And when he leaves at the end of next year, it will carry on after him, which is great.
Yeah, hand it down. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think that's excellent. You can literally just start something yourself and just do what you want to do. And then I found, I mean, a long time ago, but I found that when I went to my college, which wasn't at this university, I just joined the first club that I kind of bumped into, which was the netball team. And I had such good friends. And it was just the best group of people. And we were best friends for the 3 years I was there. So it's a really good way of easily meeting people outside of your subject.
Definitely. So we've spoken a bit about societies and a bit about work. How do you guys manage that, that work-life social balance? Have you found it, because, Oxford terms are quite intense, they're quite short, they're only 8 weeks long. How have you found managing that balance and that quite intense time period? Rachel, I'll go to you first. How have you found it?
What kind of builds on what I said before, it definitely depends on what subject you're doing as to how much flexibility you can have. Because, for example, some of the STEM subjects, they might have 9 a.m. labs that they have to attend, quite a few days in the week. Whereas mine is a lot of reading based. So if I want to wake up at 11 and then, spend the whole afternoon and evening reading, then that's fine. But it's all about time management, like 100%. Because I found if I've got something on in the day, that means I'll just make sure I get work done before and after, or, the day before. But I really like the fact that that's entirely up to me as to when I fit that in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How about you, Sophie? How have you found the work-life balance, as it were?
For me, it's mostly about kind of cultivating a good routine. So, like Rachel said, carving out which days you want to work. So either kind of doing quite a few intense days in a row and then having a few days off, or maybe working most days but for only half of the day, that kind of thing, and sticking to that. Obviously allowing for social activities and any commitments that come up, but trying your best to stick to that routine.
Ethan, how have you found it?
Yeah, it's something I struggled with a lot at the start of university, I'd say. I before Freshers Week, I was waiting for someone to hand me a timetable of everything I needed to attend, but that day will never come. You have to pull your timetable together from numerous sources and work out where you need to be at what time, and that's completely on you. It's something you grow into. I think the main thing I found is that weekends don't have to be weekends in Oxford, and especially when you're a student, so I structure my week around my deadlines. If I have a deadline on a Monday, then Saturday and Sunday and Friday are not going to be like weekend days for me, but maybe I have nothing until like the next Friday, which means like Tuesday, Wednesday might become my weekend, and that's fine. Those are the days that I'll take to see friends, do things outside of my degree, just take time to relax. So I think you have to be slightly flexible with it, and you have to work with like the cards you're dealt, but you'll grow into it and it will be fine.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that you guys have found quite difficult in terms of, or the most, the biggest thing that changed between, say, doing your A-levels and then coming to university, or are there other things that you found that maybe you didn't realise would be such a difference? Ethan, I'll go back round the other way. How did you find the change?
I think another change for me is, so that timetable thing's quite big and it's difficult to adjust to, but you get it quite quickly because you have to. But a different thing is like the style of learning. So in school, you have your lessons, you learn the content, and then you do your homework kind of as an ending thing. You do your homework to round off the content you've just learned, and you hand that into your teacher. Because what I found at university is everything's based around the tutorial. That's your teaching. So you use lectures, you use your readings, you use all of the resources to learn the content for yourself. You complete your work, which is your essay, and then in the tutorial, that's when you kind of like bring it all together and learn. So it's kind of flipped the style of the purpose of like submitting work, which is different. But again, you grow into it, and I've quite enjoyed it. It's quite an independent way to learn, which is nice.
Rachel, how have you found the change from school to university?
I think definitely in first term it was a lot bigger of a jump than if you spoke to me now. So it's definitely something that you work your way into and you definitely develop as you go along. Because I think, you're coming to a new place, a completely different style of teaching, and that can be quite daunting at the start. But I remember my college parents told me this, and I didn't really get it until now. But they did say, first year, by the end of it, you figure out how to learn, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like you're adapting to it, to the new system, the new style, but you do really settle into it by the end. And now I'm definitely feeling way more confident going into second year, knowing, this is how I approach a reading list, this is how I read it, here's, this is how I write my essay, and also adapting to that tutorial system, because it is, basically one-on-one. And I think it's just been really good, and it's meant I've learned so much more than I think I would have in another sort of university environment.
Great. Sophie, how about you?
The growth in independence has been a really big jump, I think. Kind of going from being quite spoon-fed at school with very prescriptive things that you're learning, to then turning to university where basically the things you can learn are pretty much endless, and you have to be very selective, especially in history, about what you learn. But as Rachel said, it's all about adapting and just trying to muddle through, and your tutors will know that you're not going to get it instantly, but you've been picked for a reason, and you do have the potential to be able to adapt to the new environment.
Sarah, do you have any tips or advice for brand new students, for brand new freshers who might be a little bit nervous?
I think the thing that I would want to impart is, there's no harm in preparation, but do not expect to be perfect. So where students have struggled, in my experience, is where they've arrived at Oxford and they expect to be excellent at everything they do, and they don't want to hand in an essay until they consider it to be finished. Well, actually, this is a whole learning process. As Rachel said, you learn how to write an essay over the course of the first year. You cannot write a perfect one in your first week. And if that's going to stop you handing it in, you're never going to kind of engage with the learning process. So I think the most important thing is be open to ideas, be open to work, and be open to sort of engaging the new ways of working. But don't expect to be perfect, because perfectionism is actually a curse. It's not helpful. I would say, though, we have a group of students here from a range of subjects. It is more prescribed in the sciences, and there are certain subjects that are absolutely timetabled to death. And so although we have subjects here where you get a lot more choice and a lot more control over what you're learning, in things like, maths, medicine, some of the sciences, it's quite timetabled and it's quite bespoke, and there's a lot less choice. There becomes choice as the years go by, but in those first couple of years, it's a bit prescribed. But that's because they're working to specific syllabuses. Medicine has to meet the General Medical Council requirements for its course. So it's horses for courses. Different subjects are different, but the big difference between university and school is that independence and the learning to learn.
So I'm going to ask the three of you to glance, to put your mind back and think about the first day that you arrived at St Hilda's, and how you felt, and how excited hopefully you were, and possibly also quite nervous as well. But I also would like you to think about how you settled in and how you made friends. Did you find it an easy process? Did you find it quite challenging? Any tips for settling in, anything like that? Sophie, how did you find the arrival, the settling in, basically the very start and Freshers Week? How did you find all of that?
Well, I found that St Hilda's was really helpful in helping all of us to settle in. So they arranged a lot of online events because of coronavirus, obviously. So we kind of got to meet our cohort virtually, almost straight away, pretty much. And also they introduced us to the college family system. So you get allocated some parents. So one of them will do your subject, and then whoever they're married to, they will also have kids, and they'll be your college siblings. So the idea is that you go to your family if you need some pastoral help, or you go to the one doing your subject if you need any help with your studies. So that really put me at ease to have 3 people in second year that I knew were looking out for me. We had a picnic in Freshers Week, got to know them really well, and yeah, it was just really easy to make friends there.
Cool. Rachel, how did you find it?
I was honestly so excited. Like, I think the excitement definitely outweighed any nerves. I was just like so happy to be there. I'm still such a tourist in Oxford as well, like walking around town anytime I see any of the pretty buildings, I'm like, I have to take a picture. So that was also exciting. But then also I found it quite nice to meet everyone, and all the people on your floor that you're living with in your building. But also I'm sure this will be more the case when restrictions get eased, but you'll meet people like in the JCR, so that's the junior common room, so that's like the big room where the college bar is, and there'll always be events there, and you can go and socialise and meet people, and just sitting around college, what's so nice is you're always bumping into people, so that was quite nice, was there was always new people to meet, and once you get past that, so now there's always someone that you'll walk past and you'll say hi to them in college, which I really like, but yeah, in Freshers Week, that was also really nice because there were so many people all around at the same time, that you had a lot of choice. There was a lot going on, so that was really nice.
Oh, that's good. So, Ethan, I take it your Freshers Week would have been slightly different because you were here before the pandemic hit. Am I correct?
Yeah.
How would you describe your Freshers Week and settling in and all that sort of thing?
I guess the benefit for us is that we can have everything in person. There are no restrictions. So it's kind of a more typical freshers experience, I would say. But some of the things that have been mentioned are so crucial. So the college family system, for me, we had like a family night where, because in second year we kind of live in private accommodation, family night is where you have your kids around for dinner and then maybe have some drinks, maybe you go out afterwards. But that was crucial in kind of meeting the years above and like starting to feel part of the college, not just part of the fresher cohort, which is great. And so like Rachel mentioned, your corridor is crucial as well. They're the first people you meet, and they're likely for that week to be the people you know the best, just due to like the proximity that you live with them. But it's it's all the little things. It's like bring a doorstop, so your door's constantly open for the first few days, and then people drop in and out. Or like I brought, annoyingly, I brought one mug, which is a huge error because I thought, okay, I'm gonna go in a positive mindset, be the person that invites everyone in for a drink the minute we arrive. I was like, let's all have a tea, let's have a coffee. And I bring everyone in, and I'm like, I've only brought one mug, and that's for me. I had everything else. But it's just stuff like that. If you go in with the mindset of like, this is going to be a positive experience, I want to meet as many people as possible, and you have a great time, and you meet, and you settle in quickly, and just don't turn anything down is another thing. Freshers Week is meant to be tiring because there's so much on. A lot of it is stuff you have to go to learn about the things college needs you to know about. A lot of it is social stuff that's optional. Like maybe a treasure hunt doesn't sound that fun for you, but equally maybe you meet your best friend on the treasure hunt, at least for the week, which is nice. So don't turn anything down, just get stuck in.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's really great advice. I think a lot of people as well are very nervous about the accommodation, just swinging back around to that again. And then, sharing kitchen facilities and sharing bathrooms. How have you found that? Has it been all right? Has it been okay? Was it easier than you thought, harder than you thought? Rachel, I'll start with you first. How have you found sharing facilities?
It's honestly not been an issue at all. I think you hear some like horror stories about some people's really awful kitchens, someone who's left their plates there for like 4 weeks or something. But I've really not had any issues like that. And even with sharing bathrooms and showers, I honestly think there was only one time where all of the showers were being used and I couldn't go in like at the same time. So it really just hasn't been as much of an issue as you might think it would be. And in the kitchen, I actually really like sharing the kitchens. It's so nice because something we found is whenever you go in to make yourself a cup of tea and someone else is in there, you stop for a little chat. And you're like, how's it getting on? And, what are your plans for later? And it's a nice little way to have a chat, a little pit stop or just speak to people that you're living with.
Sophie, how have you found that in Wolfson? Has it been a similar experience?
Yeah, it's been really good. Our kitchen was a really decent size. We all just kind of divvied up our cupboards and the fridge shelves, so it was very ordered and everyone kind of knew which section was theirs. And as Rachel said, like, it was very much a social space when people were in there cooking, but also because of the dining hall, a lot of people just had meals in college anyway, so it was never crowded. It's not like everyone's cooking every single day. And yeah, the bathrooms were only shared between 5 of us, so it was really, really good system.
Oh, that sounds good. So let's talk about the food of college, because now that we're talking about kitchens and eating and things like that, how have you honestly found the food? Has it been good? Has it been bad? How have you found it? Should we start with Sophie? We'll go back to you. How have you found the food at college?
I really like the food at college. My favourites are Fish and Chip Friday, definitely, and Brunch on Saturday, which is just like a plethora of different foods to nurse your hangover in the morning. But yeah, there's a lot of good options. I'm not vegan or vegetarian myself, so I can't really speak for that, but I know that those dietary requirements are catered for. And just generally, the atmosphere in the dining hall is just really nice. There's a lot of drinks on offer, snacks. It's just a really good place to be.
Ethan, how have you found it? Have you really liked the food? I know you're a fan of the brunch on Saturdays.
Yeah, Saturday brunch is pretty epic. It's probably the best meal of the week. Just because it's super random. Some of the items they have on there is not what you'd expect at a typical brunch. But, you know, that's like what makes St Hilda's, just those weird like cultural things that no one really understands apart from us. You know, the food is nice. It's probably not the nicest food you've ever eaten because, you know, it's mass cooking, but I was happy to eat it every day. Also, like, I don't know. So it's kind of important because there'll be a time when you need to go for dinner and no one else wants to go for dinner. And you sit down at a random table and that's completely fine. And then you meet some new people. Like, it becomes a bit of a social space and it's a great place to meet people, especially outside of your corridor. Sometimes you can get a little bit trapped in your corridor with the people that you live with. And then it's a way to get out. You meet new people in your year or even years above. And there's some like really important conversations that happen over the dining table. But even if it's just about your day, like you've had a rubbish day, but you know, you're coming back from the library and you text your friends like, let's go for dinner. And you all meet in there and that's just like, I don't know, it's weird because, so Hildes has round tables, which is unusual for Oxford colleges. Most have long tables with benches, but we have round tables, so it does feel like a family meal sometimes. And, you know, that can be really comforting.
How about you, Rachel? How have you found the food?
Yeah, I found the food really good. I know I'm not vegan or vegetarian myself, but I know like most of the people on my floor were, and there was always options on, and they quite liked them as well. I think if I remember correctly, I think Hildes is known for being one of the better colleges in terms of vegan and veggie options. Also, that's what I've heard. So that's fun. But also the round tables, I really do like that. It's really nice because you can see everyone, you know, you're chatting, you're socialising. And another thing we did this year was when the weather was good in the summer, we actually had tables outside as well. So we could take our food and eat it out there. And also what was really good is you could get your food in takeaway boxes. Say you needed to like rush off or, you know, you needed to grab something and then, you know, get back onto your laptop in your room, then you could do that too. So it was really flexible and there was loads of options. So I really liked it.
Sarah, how do you find the options for food? Do you enjoy the food? Do you enjoy the options?
It's always wonderful if someone's cooking for you.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I think the food is actually really good. Normally we have a really good selection of food that you can kind of help yourself to. It's been slightly more restricted in the last year, and the numbers of options have been reduced. But I think that the college has done an incredible job at the beginning of the academic year, where we had people in isolation or people were in quarantine because they'd come from overseas and they had to stay in their rooms for 10 days. Then college was amazing. The catering team set up a Deliveroo service and the dining hall manager was travelling miles around town delivering food to graduate students in off-site accommodation. And I think they go absolutely out of their way to support the students. I think it's extraordinary what the staff do. What I really like to see in the summer, and it's been less so this year, but it will be more again in the future, is when we use the dining hall properly in the summer, all the students take their food out onto the grass on that bit of grass directly behind you, Emma, in your picture, and sit in the evening, the early evening, looking at the river. And for the people watching this, they may not know that in the summer, the river is filled with people on boats, mucking about. And it's brilliant fun to watch people mess about on the river. And everyone's sitting out the side, eating on the grass. And it's just the best feeling. I love St Hilda's when the students are out there in the sunshine.
Yeah, and just to also say that we do have our own punts as well, so students can
Yes, which you can
go
also
and bore
see.
at them. Yeah, and that's good fun as well.
Yeah. So it takes about an hour if you're not particularly good at punting to get around the island that's opposite us, and it's just brilliant fun. And you can just rent punts when you want them. You don't have to pay.
So, talking about college food and things, have you guys been able to visit other colleges or maybe make friends with people at other colleges at all? Ethan, how about you? Have you found that process easy or hard?
Yeah, it's been quite easy for me because I study economics and management, and there's about 90 of us in every year, in each year group, sorry. And of those 90, you probably see about 30 regularly, which means that it is quite a tight-knit group. And the benefit of making friends on your course is that they are at different colleges. And maybe they take you to a formal, maybe they take you to their bar. It means you can look around a bit. And to be honest, like, that's something since the pandemic, something we've not been able to do much because pretty much every college has been closed to visitors. Only their students are allowed in. And it's something that I really want to do in Michaelmas, so which is kind of our winter term that goes October to December. Something I want to do is, get around lots of colleges more. I'm only here for another year, so I want to see as much of Oxford as I can. And I think for me, the best way to do that is through my course.
How about you, Rachel? Because I guess with the pandemic, it's a lot harder. Have you been able to meet people from other colleges?
Yeah, it's definitely been very different for us, I think, compared to Ethan's experience. But I think this is definitely something where the societies come in, because obviously societies are across the university. I mean, apart from the individual college ones, it means that, when there's events on, you are meeting other people, especially if you get involved with, committee stuff, helping out organise events for these societies. It's meant that I've met a lot of other girls in different colleges as part of Women in Law, and we organised, once restrictions were eased, we organised like committee picnics, scavenger hunts around town, just social events like that. Also, the Law Society had their president's drinks up on a rooftop bar in town, which was lovely, and that, we were able to meet loads of new people there. So it's really good to get involved with societies to meet people across. But also, I think, once people are socializing, going to bars and things like that, you do make friends, you do bump into people, and you start seeing the same people around town, which is really nice because of because it's quite a small city and you've got all the little colleges around. You're always seeing people that which is really nice, and you'll meet friends of friends, and suddenly that bubble grows and grows. So it's good.
So Rachel, I'm going to pick up on something you've just said there about going to see other colleges and different people and things. And I'm going to address the big elephant in the room, which is St Hilda's geographical location. A lot of people think that St Hilda's is very far away from everything, and it's just so far out. I wanted to know what you guys' opinion were on St Hilda's location, and what you thought about it, and how you get around Oxford, and what Oxford's like as a city. So yeah, Rachel, I'm going to start back with you again, if that's okay.
This is something I hear if I see friends, who are in other colleges. They go, "Oh, Hilda's is so far away." Or if you say, "I go to Hilda's," I completely disagree. It's literally a 10-minute walk from town. By bike, literally a couple minutes. I've never found it an issue. I really enjoy the walk. It's lovely. You go into town. It's not necessarily one of the colleges in town where literally on your doorstep you're on the high street. But actually, I quite prefer that because it means it's not as busy. It can be quite loud in town, especially with tourists as well. So I really like our location. It's not far enough that you think, oh gosh, I have to walk into town. But also with bikes, because Oxford is such a pedestrian city. Everyone's cycling around or they're walking. And actually, I prefer the Hilda'S location because it's perfectly close to the second year accommodation, which is a little bit more out of town. So that's down Cowley Road. but also close enough into town and all the faculty buildings and the big libraries in town. So it's a perfect balance between both, and there's nothing that you can't get to by bike very quickly.
How about you, Sophie? How have you found it?
I actually think it's the perfect location because, as Rachel said, it is like it's a bit far off, as in it's a bit more secluded. So that means it's quiet, it's free from tourists. You can kind of step away from the city if you want to, but equally you can just step right back in again because it's so close. Actually, it is genuinely only a 10-minute walk, and I really enjoy walking, and you just get to see all the Oxford sites whenever you go out and about, which I think is a lot more rewarding than just being like right in the centre of everything. And then you've got like Cowley Road and the vibrancy of that on the other side. So you can go to some independent shops or explore the music there. So it's like you get the best of both worlds living in Hildes, I think.
How about you, Ethan?
Unsurprisingly, I also think Hildes is the perfect location. Sophie picks on something really interesting. Like, one of the main benefits of being at St Hilda's is you do get to explore kind of the area just outside of town in East Oxford, which is like incredible, and there's so much to do. I feel like if I was at a different college, maybe I wouldn't have got as stuck into that side of town. I also, a close friend of mine's at Central College, and the places where his university lectures are about a minute from where he lives, and kind of the central libraries are also really close. And he's found that he feels slightly stuck in, 1 kilometre squared of area in Oxford. Feels like he wakes up, he eats in the dining hall, he walks a minute to his lectures, he walks a minute to the library, and then he's back into his room, and he feels trapped. And there's something nice about the space of Hilda'S in that, like, we're not technically in the city centre. And, on my, 10-minute commute on foot, you do sort of de-stress a little bit, and you feel like you're coming home as opposed to, constantly in town, which is, it's incredible.
Sounds like you can just have a bit more of a breather being at St Hilda's. Yeah. So what do you think? I know it's a bit of a bugbear of ours that not everyone, but a lot of people say, "Oh gosh, you're so far out."
Everybody says, "Oh, it's so far out of town. We're the other side of a bridge from Magdalen College. Behind us is the University Sports Centre. We really are perfectly located, and I would agree with what the students have said. It's wonderful not being in the busy bit of town. I love walking into town. It's a gentle walk into town. It's no distance at all. And when you walk back out of town, you get this wonderful sense of all the rush being behind you, and then it's all nice and calm when you come into the college site. And then you've got these beautiful open spaces, the vistas, the river. We can walk on our grass. It's a little bit more relaxed, and I'm so pleased we don't have groups of tourists looking through our windows, coming into our buildings and bothering us all day, every day. I mean, I just think it's wonderful that we just don't have that. I mean, it would be lovely that everybody knew where we were, but I don't think we really want that attention.
Lovely. Well, thank you all very much. That was a great session. I appreciate all your answers very, very much. They were brilliant. So thank you all very much. And thank you for joining us today on our live stream. If you do have any questions, please do keep letting us know what they are on Slido. We're here until 4:00 this afternoon. So please do let us know if you have any questions, or if you want to ask something of the staff or students, please do let us know. But otherwise, we shall leave you there, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon. So thanks very much.
Bye, everyone.
Great, thank you.